Megalopolis, directed by the legendary Francis Ford Coppola. I didn't want to fall on this end of the spectrum, but yeah, I was very disappointed in the film. Obviously, unless you live under a rock, you know that this movie has been getting mixed reviews, mixed reactions since its first premiered. Since even the production, I feel like there was always just like this narrative around it. I've been closely following this and I was very excited to see it. Just Francis Ford Coppola financing it himself, a really artistic art house, futuristic sci-fi, like just I don't know, it just sounded like something amazing, something that was gonna be super introspective, something like I don't know, something like Tarkovsky, like just something where I just expected so much from it, and I was freaking excited, and I was just ready to be on the other end of the spectrum of like this movie is just so cinematic. It's not worrying about conforming to modern writing standards. Like I was just ready to see and to understand and to love what he was going for. And yeah, I was disappointed. And I saw many interviews prior to seeing the film, and the podcast he did with Daily Stoic, which is a great podcast. I highly recommend it. I never knew too much about Coppola. I can't say I've seen all his films. I've seen probably like 5 of his films. I've loved some of them, like The Godfather, The Outsiders, Apocalypse Now. But I never knew too much about him. I always was more interested in George Lucas or Steven Spielberg from that little trio of friends. Leading up to this film, I did kind of learn a lot more about him. And I didn't realize how well read he was, much like George Lucas. George Lucas was more into mythology and sociology and that sort of thing. And Francis is very interested in the classics like Greek, Roman, and just Latin, like just like those types of early literature and philosophies. And he's, as I said, in the interviews and podcasts I've seen, he's very well read and just very knowledgeable, and he's clearly very passionate about it. And in retrospect, it did make a lot of sense in the type of films he's made, and just the inspiration is there once I realized the type of person he was or is. And I'm someone who has read my fair share of old books. And I haven't quite gotten to the classics, I haven't read Homer, I haven't read things like that, but I have read some Russian literature. I've read a lot of books from the 1800s, and I prefer older books. So I did feel a bit of a connection to him because of that. And obviously, I love cinema. So, I just felt like perhaps this film could be just for me. I'm sure most people know, but he tried to do a lot in this movie. It's not just a film that means a lot to him. It's also like he's trying to express and to do a service to humans, to the human family, as he calls it. He's trying to motivate. He wants to give the human race hope. He want that was his goal with this film, to make people look inward and to just try to be better. To create a better future for our children and that sort of thing. All that is great, obviously. Like just hearing him speak about where he's coming from and all that, I just felt like, yes, can't wait. And watching it, I feel like he got in his own way. I really appreciate a lot of the filmmaking itself is great, honestly. Like the visuals, the direction, the sometimes the experimental ways he shot things, I really liked. I did really like how sometimes the CGI wasn't exactly perfect. It was like it just seemed the movie was very stylized, and I appreciate that. I didn't love the score, actually. I felt like the score was kind of all over the place and sometimes didn't enhance the scene. It sometimes just felt like, okay, weird choice, but that's just me. But anyways, yeah, I feel like he got in his own way because so much of this movie is very obviously inspired from the Roman Empire. I mean, the city is called New Rome, and it's clear that, and I think he's even said as much, but it's clear that he likens our modern world to the Roman Empire because they were at their peak of power and then it fell. The Roman aspect, the politics, the families, the kingdom, that sort of thing, it kind of convoluted the film, and I just feel like that was unnecessary because you didn't need that to tell your story. It was just how he chose to tell his story. And I mean, hey, I can't blame him. His film, his money. That was how he wanted to express it and whatever. Good for him. I applauded the effort. I applauded the boldness in doing something like this. But I didn't feel like the message he wanted to convey landed. Like he told it, but I didn't feel much by the end of the film, which really sucks. I also felt like some of the acting and some of the casting choices were weird. I love Adam Driver. I love pretty much everyone, especially Shia LaBeouf. It was great seeing him again. I didn't expect to see so much of him, actually. I don't know why. I think because of all his controversies and stuff. I felt like he was going to have a small role, and it's a pretty big role. So I really enjoyed seeing him again. Adam is great. Everyone is great. Nathalie, the girl from Game of Thrones. I love her in Game of Thrones, and I just felt like her acting was so dry in this film. Like, I did not buy the chemistry between her and Adam Driver, and sometimes the movie had some superficial writing that I talk about in my video about cinema and its evolutionary peak. And it makes sense. I mean, Francis is 85. But I did see some weird writing choices that I'm like, okay, that character choice was made in like a minute, or like that character arc changed substantially in a couple minutes. It just felt weird. And Aubrey Plaza, I felt like she did not belong in this film. I think she's hilarious. I really like her as an actress, but I never could take her serious. And she's such a specific actress, and she offers such a specific thing. So it's so clear that that is what Francis wanted, you know? I just felt like she didn't belong, and it was weird sometimes. Her acting choices, the way she delivered lines, I was like, can't take this too serious. Adam Driver is the main character. Cesar Catalina is his character, and that is the most interesting part of the movie. And I felt like the movie should have been all about him, like 100% about him. I felt like this movie should have been very character driven, almost like a lonely billionaire or like misunderstood genius type of thing, of just very introspective. I felt like the movie could have been good if it was very in his head, like a movie like Taxi Driver or First Reformed, two movies by Paul Schrader. I felt like being in his head, being a film where he's just driving through New Rome and just reflecting on justice, injustice, politics, money, power, the future. Like, I felt like a film like that would have been so good. And there was aspects of that in this movie, but it just got too distracted by the Roman aspect and the families and all that. That really sucks, you know? Like, I felt like there was a lot of nuggets. I felt like there was a lot of nuggets of pieces of wisdom, pieces of philosophy, and just interesting things that were stimulating to my mind that I liked. And there's enough of that throughout this film that makes me want to go back and revisit it. But I'm pretty sure I'm not going to revisit this movie again or years later and then be like, you know what? It was actually a masterpiece. Or, you know what? I just didn't understand it. I wasn't intellectually capable. Like, no, there's so much goodness in it. It's just so superficial. And I just feel like they weren't fleshed out. The ideas weren't fleshed out. And that's such a shame. I was really excited for this movie, and I really do think I managed my expectations. I was ready to be amazed, but I also wasn't confident. You know, I was completely ready for it to go either way. But I was disappointed ultimately, you know, and that sucks. But I'm glad the movie exists. I'm glad he did it. I'm glad he did it as true as he could. And he said that this is his cut, that he is happy with it. So, you know, I'm happy for the artistic expression. But yeah, let me know what you guys think about this film. Let me know what you guys think about my idea of what could have made the film better. Like it focusing just on Adam and being kind of like a introspective in the character's head type of deal. I think that would have been great. But yeah, let me know what you guys think all in all about this film. Yeah, thanks for watching.